It's a war. The war is between banks, and on the other side, we have cryptocurrency, which in question is Bitcoin. It's banks versus Bitcoin. But why the banks are so much against Bitcoin? Let's study the history. In the year 2018, the banks, which is RBI, you can call it as Reserve Bank of India, imposed a ban on Indian markets for trading cryptocurrencies. But retaliating back, the crypto community responded and won the case in the March 2020, which allowed that crypto can be traded in the Indian market as per the orders by Supreme Court. But still, banks and the government are against cryptocurrency. Why so? Welcome to Katosh Tubes. I'm your host Paras, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about banks versus bitcoins, and I will give a comparative analysis. Which is better? Is the banks right, or the new cryptocurrency has more benefits over the current financial system? Let's study the difference in this video. So let me get started with today's video. Beside me, you can see a whiteboard in which I will compare banks versus the Bitcoin, the pros and cons of both of them. But before I start this comparison, let me tell you, if you want to know about what is cryptocurrency and how Bitcoin works, I have created a video on it. You can click the link in the description to watch that video to understand about what is Bitcoin and how this technology really works. So now let's get started with banks versus Bitcoin. The war is on. So number one, the most basic or the key difference why Bitcoin is created, which is created by Satoshi Nakamoto. The name is known, but the person is still unknown. So why Bitcoin is created? Its basic differences because your banks are a centralized system. And Bitcoin is a decentralized system. So now what is centralized and what is decentralized? I have explained that in the previous video also, but let me just summarize it. So centralized means one to many. You have one bank, and from there the financial institutes start all the money transaction that you have in Indian rupees or US dollars. In India you have RBI, who is printing and taking care of the money in the system, and in US you have Federal Bank or Federal Reserve, which prints the money. So it's centralized. There is no other system which can legally print the money apart from these institutions, which make it centralized, and all your money, all your income, all your hard work is linked to this system. You cannot make or create your own money. You have to be dependent on the third party, which is bank, to do any such type of transaction. And decentralized in Bitcoin, which means you don't need any third party to do a transaction. I don't need a bank or any other party to transfer money from one person to another. Which means if I am one person, I want to give money to other person for a particular product or service, I don't need to depend upon bank. It's just click of address and the money get transferred. Here I have to depend upon the bank, because without bank, even if you have a UPI app or net banking app, these are all linked to your own bank where your money is stored. So you need bank in this case, but you don't need anyone in this case. So that's the reason actually why Bitcoin is created, to be independent of the banks. So that's one main reason. Now second reason is the bank have a deflationary currency. So what deflationary actually means is that the something which loses value over time. So banks, the currency that it prints, which is Indian rupees in this case, or you can say US dollar in this case, is deflationary, which means the currency which loses value over time. Let's take an example of 100 rupees note. 10 years back, when you go to a shop, you can buy curd, you can buy milk, you can buy anything, you can buy groceries, lot of things can be bought in 100 rupees 10 years back than now. Maybe in 100 rupees you can just buy a couple of milk packets, that's it. So that's why the money is losing value when it comes to banks. And in this case, in Bitcoin, it is not applicable. Why? Now the question is why this is deflationary and why this is not. The reason why it is not the case here because the supply of Bitcoin is limited. And as per my knowledge, I think there are 21 millions Bitcoins in circulation, so the supply is limited, and it has been told that the last Bitcoin which will be mined is in the year 2140. So because of the limited supply of Bitcoin, because of the limited reserve of Bitcoin, you cannot generate more Bitcoins as you can print more currencies, which is done by the banks. That's why this particular Bitcoin or this cryptocurrency is not deflationary. It cannot lose value over time. But here it is already losing value. If you keep the money in the bank at a low interest, you will again be in a loss. So that's the big reason. One is centralized, second is printing the deflationary currency. Now coming to the third part is being vulnerable to hacking. So the point is banks are always vulnerable to hacking. They have been hacked many times in the past, though they have strong system now, but they are always open to hack. While Bitcoin, it's again not applicable. Now why is it so? Because the technology on which Bitcoin is based, it's called as DLT, which is decentralized ledger technology, which allows Bitcoin to be way more secure and hacker free. No hacker can hack Bitcoin. If he or she wants to hack a Bitcoin, it will take them ages to do so. That's why the system of Bitcoin is more secure than banks. Now coming to point number 4. Point number 4 is Bitcoin is 100% internet dependent, while banks are semi-internet. Now again, if the internet goes off, your Bitcoin is actually of no value. It will lose its value. How you can transfer money? It is totally online. It's a digital currency. And banks, even the system is down, they can still make the transaction because it is manual and it is internet based. That's why this can be the limitation. But having said that, do you think internet can go 100% down for a long period of time? So that's the one in question. That's, you can say, the bottleneck of Bitcoin. It is 100% internet dependent, while banks are semi-internet dependent. Now let's come to point number 5. Banks generate a legal tender. Let me explain that. So the money that you see, the rupee that you hold in your hand is a legal tender, which means if I go to a shop and let's say I want to buy an AC or shop some clothes. So I'm going to the shop and buying an AC. In return, the buyer only demands to be paid in Indian rupees. Even if I have a stock worth of same value, I cannot just sell him my stocks and get the AC. I have to give him money, which is Indian rupees in this case, and then only I can get my product. Which means Indian rupee is a legal tender right now, which is only printed by the banks. While on the Bitcoin side, it is not the case. Bitcoin is not a legal tender. You go to a shop, you do a transaction, and you tell them that take the Bitcoin and give me the product. Most of the shops will deny it because it's not a legal tender. It's still in question. So that's the biggest drawback of Bitcoin as of now, because it has to be adopted by masses. Only then it can become a currency of the future. And last but not the least, it's a bonus difference, and that is in banks the money can be demonetized. Remember the demonetization happened in the year 2016, where 500 rupees note and 1000 rupees note lost their value overnight actually. So The money can always be demonetized, which is printed by the banks, which is Indian rupees. But in Bitcoin, it is again not applicable. You cannot demonetize Bitcoin because it's a digital currency. So that's the difference between banks and Bitcoin. I hope you enjoyed learning this video. Watch the video shared on the screen, and I see you in the next video. I talk about cryptocurrency and internet in the next video. So stay tuned, stay well, take care, and bye-bye.